Comedian Bill Burr was supposed to reprise his role of Kubi from Breaking Bad in the prequel series Better Call Saul. Burr was unavailable to shoot the scenes, so the scene was rewritten and Stephen Ogg's character, Sobchak, who featured in the episode Pimento of Better Call Saul, was put in instead. Quentin Tarantino revealed that he had originally written the part of Bill for Warren Beatty in Kill Bill. The character was written as a kind of evil James Bond character. When Beatty turned down the role, Tarantino did consider Bruce Willis and Kevin Costner for the role instead. Eventually, Tarantino went on to cast David Carradine in the role and rewrote the character. Don Rickles, who voiced Mr. Potato Head in the Toy Story franchise, passed away before Toy Story 4 was in production. However, the filmmakers managed to gather unused audio from the other 3 movies, as well as other media like video games, in order to give Mr. Potato Head enough dialogue for the 4th film. Whilst filming The Lord of the Rings, not enough male extras had the necessary riding experience. Whilst developing the movie Lincoln, director Steven Spielberg had considered making it a 6-hour series and almost went in that direction instead of making it a motion picture. He was going to do the 6-hour series on HBO. In Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, stunt coordinator Nick Gillard cameos as a Jedi Master fighting Anakin Skywalker during Order 66, Fire the Security Archives. The character is named Syndrolic, which is Nick Gillard's name spelt backwards. Director Matt Reeves, whilst making The Batman, said he had no plans to cross over with Todd Phillips' Joker movie. With James Gunn taking over DC, both The Batman and The Joker are labelled Elseworlds movies and are not in the shared continuity of the new DCU. For the movie Oppenheimer, director Christopher Nolan recreated the Trinity test, involving a nuclear explosion, without the use of CGI. James Cameron had originally wanted to develop Avatar as early as 1999. However, the director didn't think that the technology was advanced enough to create his vision, so ended up shelving the project for several years. Actress Edie Falco has revealed she shot her scenes for Avatar: The Way of Water over 4 years ago, and presumed the film had come out already and hadn't done well, as she was yet to hear about it for so many years. Before actor Ben Whishaw was cast as the voice of Paddington, it had been announced that Colin Firth would have been voicing the character. Firth ultimately dropped out of the film, stating he was disappointed, but he felt he couldn't achieve the right voice for the role. Actor Patrick Stewart has said that reading the script for Green Room scared him so much that after finishing, he went round the house checking all the doors were locked and his security system was on. This encouraged him to play the character as he was so frightened. Despite Westworld being cancelled after 4 seasons, all of the main cast members will receive their pay for Season 5, as they had pay or play written into their contracts for the 5th and final season. Chandler Riggs, who plays Carl Grimes in The Walking Dead, had a cameo in the series finale as a member of the Hilltop community. Riggs visited the set on one of the last days of shooting, and the producers asked him to feature in the background of one of the shots. According to director James Cameron, the script for the currently unmade Avatar 4 received no notes from the studio when he has submitted it to them for approval. When writing a revised script for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, due to the death of Chadwick Boseman, both Lupita Nyong'o's Nakia and Winston Duke's M'Baku were considered candidates to take up the mantle of the Black Panther. Whilst filming The Two Popes, the filmmakers had sought permission to film scenes in the Sistine Chapel, but were denied by the Vatican. They therefore had to recreate the Sistine Chapel on set, which took about 10 weeks to complete and was slightly larger than the real Sistine Chapel. Dave Bautista has said that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 would be his last appearance as Drax the Destroyer. The actor stated that he is grateful for the role, but he doesn't want it to be his legacy as an actor. Actor Jensen Ackles has revealed that he was almost cast as Deadpool instead of Ryan Reynolds. The actor revealed it would have been cool to do the role, but feared he would have messed it up and not have been as good as what Reynolds has done with the character. Before the funeral of Tony Stark was filmed in Avengers Endgame, the cast members were originally told that they were filming a wedding scene to explain why they were all wearing suits. Some speculate that this was in order to keep Tony Stark's death a secret from Tom Holland, who is notorious for accidentally leaking information about the Marvel movies. In Rogue One, Blue Squadron was wiped out during the Battle of Scarif. Originally, George Lucas wanted to have both Red and Blue Squadron attack the Death Star in A New Hope. During production, the blue colour didn't work alongside the blue screens, so that side was scrapped. The events of Rogue One thus explain Blue Squadron's absence from the movie. Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery, the sequel to Rian Johnson's movie Knives Out, had been given a 1-week window to be shown in cinemas before its exclusive release on Netflix. Apparently many cinema chains begged the streaming service for a longer cinema release, however Netflix reportedly declined this. After completing Logan, Hugh Jackman had stated that he fully intended to stay retired from the Wolverine character. It wasn't until August 2022 that he decided he wanted to play the role again for Deadpool 3. Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery has now become the third most successful film for Netflix in terms of watch hours. Only Red Notice and Don't Look Up are currently ahead in watch hours. According to director Ryan Coogler, actor Chadwick Boseman never got the chance to read the original script for Black Panther 2. He was given the chance to read the script, but said he didn't want to interfere with any studio note. Boseman later died before he could read the original script. Tony Gilroy, creator of Andor, has revealed that he thinks Andy Serkis's character Kino Loy doesn't die in episode 10 of the series. The character's fate was left ambiguous and he was unable to swim to escape the prison, but Gilroy has said in his mind the character survives. In Love Actually, there is only a 5-year age gap between Thomas Brodie Sangster and Keira Knightley. Despite this, Thomas Brodie Sangster plays a child and Keira Knightley played a married woman. Actor Lee Pace had originally auditioned for the role of Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, in Guardians of the Galaxy. Chris Pratt was cast in the role, but Pace went on to be cast as the film's villain, Ronan the Accuser. Actor Frank Oz was cast in Knives Out as the Thornbury lawyer after working with Rian Johnson on Star Wars: The Last Jedi. In The Last Jedi, Oz returned to reprise the role as the voice of Yoda. Sam Worthington has said that James Cameron wrote an entire script for his character's backstory, which was never intended to be made into a movie. It was simply used to help the actor develop the character. Ryan Gosling has said that the Barbie script by Greta Gerwig is the best script he has ever read. He also stated that the reason he wanted to play the character of Ken was that after reading the script, he discovered a shirtless Ken doll face down in the mud next to a squashed lemon. After seeing this, he called Gerwig and said he would love to play Ken as his story must be told. Director James Cameron has said there will never be an Avatar TV series because creating the CG characters costs too much money and is so labour intensive that it would be unviable for a television series. Director James Cameron said that the production of Avatar: The Way of Water was so expensive that it will need to become the 4th or 5th highest grossing movie of all time in order to make a profit. Director David Ayer still believes and is hopeful that his Ayer cut of Suicide Squad will be released one day. Similar to the Snyder cut of Justice League, there has been an online campaign to see David Ayer's original version of Suicide Squad. In the traditional Daredevil long take scene from Season 3, the over 10-minute sequence was shot completely in a single take with no hidden cuts. In the previous 2 seasons, the cuts were hidden using CGI, darkness, or scene blocking. Whilst promoting Star Wars The Force Awakens, Harrison Ford was asked who shot first, Han or Greedo. Ford simply said he didn't care. Director Rian Johnson says he is pissed off that The Glass Onion has the subtitle A Knives Out Mystery, as he wanted each film to simply be a self-contained story. The director did say he understood why it has a subtitle to attract fans of the first film to the next entry into the series. The editor for Black Panther Wakanda Forever has revealed that there was a romantic subplot between Shuri and Namor, which was filmed and appeared in test screenings of the movie. They ultimately didn't make the final cut though. According to director Matt Reeves, Alfred Hitchcock movies were one of the biggest influences on him when making The Batman. The opening scene in particular was inspired by Rear Window. Jordan Peele was originally approached to direct Black Adam back in 2017. The director turned it down, stating he wasn't a huge fan of superhero movies and wouldn't want to take away the opportunity from someone who was really passionate about them. Actress Uma Thurman originally turned down the role of Maya Wallace in Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino was so keen to get her for the role that he read the entire movie script to Thurman over the phone. Eventually, she agreed to star in the film. Marvel Studios has confirmed that they never had any conversations about bringing back a CGI double for Chadwick Boseman in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. After the actor's death, the studio decided to let the character die off screen, and they didn't want to recast the role. They felt this was the most respectful way to acknowledge Chadwick Boseman's death. Captain Marvel was originally set to appear at the end of Avengers Age of Ultron, showing the new lineup of the Avengers team. A scene was filmed with a double as no actress had been cast in the role. However, this cameo was scrapped in favour of developing the character's solo introduction movie Captain Marvel a few years later with Brie Larson. Neil Druckmann has said that the Last of Us series will not stray from the source material in the same way that HBO's Game of Thrones did. Druckmann also said that they hope to tell a conclusive story with the series and won't be looking at developing spin-offs. Actor Michael Biehn was considered for the role of Miles Quaritch in Avatar. However, after James Cameron cast Sigourney Weaver, he didn't want people to think this was connected to Aliens, in which both Weaver and Biehn both starred in. Stephen Lang was cast as Colonel Miles Quaritch instead. During a rather violent scene in A Clockwork Orange, Malcolm McDowell improvised the song Singing in the Rain. When McDowell ran into actor Gene Kelly years later, he was snubbed by the actor as he hated how the iconic song was used in the movie. R. Lee Ermey had originally only been hired on Full Metal Jacket as an advisor. It was only when the original actor wasn't able to deliver Kubrick's lines convincingly that R. Lee Ermey was given the role instead. Reportedly, Ermey came up with over 150 pages of convincing dialogue and improvised a great deal on the set. Ermey had been a Marine sergeant instructor before working on the movie. Before Man of Steel 2 was cancelled by James Gunn and Peter Safran in favour of a reboot, writer Stephen Knight, best known for Peaky Blinders, had submitted a treatment for the movie, which reportedly featured the villain Brainiac. During the filming of Avatar, director James Cameron would use a nail gun to nail any mobile phones to the wall if they went off during filming. Some of the latest concept art for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has shown the character Ironmonger, the villain from the first Iron Man movie, played by Jeff Bridges. He features on the Illuminati team. Presumably, in the universe shown in film, Obadiah Stane would have been successful as Ironmonger instead of Tony Stark's Iron Man. Director James Gunn has said he wanted to return to direct the third Guardians movie, specifically for the character Rocket. Gunn stated it would be a shame if he couldn't have returned to finish the trilogy, but felt very connected to telling and finishing Rocket's story. Director Brian De Palma had approached Bob Hoskins to play the role of Al Capone in The Untouchables, thinking that Robert De Niro would not be interested in the role. When De Niro did end up taking the role, De Palma sent Hoskins a $200,000 check with a thank you note. Hoskins reportedly called up the director and asked if there were any other films he didn't want him to star in. In Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the character of Moaning Myrtle, a 14-year-old student, is played by actress Shirley Henderson. She was 37 years old at the time of filming and is the eldest actress to play one of the students in the franchise. Kate Winslet managed to hold her breath for 7 minutes and 15 seconds during the filming of Avatar: The Way of Water. When Winslet exited the water, she reportedly asked all the crew had she died during the stunt. During the filming of Pig, Nicolas Cage got bitten by the pig multiple times as it was not very well trained. Cage later stated that he had been set on fire, flipped in cars, but it may be sepsis from a pig bite that would kill him. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who plays Negan in The Walking Dead, said he got in trouble with AMC when he criticised the announcement of his spin-off series before the finale of The Walking Dead had aired. The actor said that his final scenes would have been better if the audience thought there was a chance his character would die. For his role as a slave owner in 12 Years a Slave, actor Benedict Cumberbatch prepared for the role by being the descendant of real-life slave owners. James Cameron reportedly worked really hard to convince the New Zealand government to allow him to shoot Avatar: The Way of Water during the 2020 lockdowns. This was due to the fact that actor Jack Champion, who plays Spider in the movie, would have grown out of the role had they waited. The premiere of the Game of Thrones spin-off, House of the Dragon, has now become the highest viewed premiere in all of HBO's history, drawing in around 10 million viewers. Nate Moore, one of the producers of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, has revealed that Namor the Submariner will appear in other Marvel projects in the future, but a solo movie is out of the question, as the solo rights still belong to the film studio Universal. This is the same reason why a solo Hulk movie hasn't happened since The Incredible Hulk in 2008. She-Hulk attorney-at-law director Kat Coiro said that head of Marvel Studios Kevin Feige encouraged her to make fun of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the series finale, even being encouraged to make fun of Kevin Feige himself. The role of Kat was written specifically for actress Elizabeth Debicki in Tenet, after Christopher Nolan and Emma Thomas saw the actress's performance in Widows. However, Debicki insisted she audition for the role still. In order to reprise the role of Benoit Blanc in Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, Daniel Craig needed to work with a voice coach for a few months in order to achieve the southern accent again. When Fox, the studio behind Avatar, tried to get James Cameron to cut the runtime of the movie, the director referenced Titanic's box office success. He said, "I made Titanic. This building that we're in, this new $500 million complex, Titanic paid for that, so I get to do this." Fox then let him keep the film's runtime as it was. When Scott Derrickson was still directing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, he intended to use the character Nightmare as a villain instead of Scarlet Witch. Concept art has been released of Nightmare, which has gone unused due to the change in the story and the director. When writing the first season of House of the Dragon, author George R.R. Martin had suggested setting the first episode around 40 years before the series started. Martin wanted an episode that followed the rivalry between Jaehaerys Targaryen's two sons, Aemon and Balon. Martin ultimately decided against this with the other showrunners, and they introduced these characters briefly in a scene in episode 1. According to author George R.R. Martin, he says that the House of the Dragon will need to run for at least 4 seasons of 10 episodes each in order to do the Dance of the Dragon storyline any justice. Barry Keoghan, who played the Joker in Matt Reeves' The Batman, has revealed he already has a detailed backstory for his version of the villain if he is to appear in future Batman movies. The Superman cameo at the end of Black Adam was originally shot without showing Superman's face, like the cameo we got at the end of Shazam. It was only when Warner Brothers agreed to bring back Henry Cavill that the scene was reshot with the actor. Quentin Tarantino revealed that he wrote too much content for Inglourious Basterds and considered making it into a TV miniseries. He said it was because of director Luc Besson that he changed his mind. Besson stated that Tarantino's films are something he is willing to bother to go to the movie theatre for, and he didn't want to wait an extra few years for a new movie. After this advice, Tarantino was determined to make it a movie and cut it down. Author George R.R. Martin has highly praised Paddy Considine's performance as Viserys Targaryen. Martin said that the actor's deep performance as King Viserys has given the character a tragic majesty that the book Viserys never achieved. For her role as Sharon Tate in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Margot Robbie revealed that she was lent jewellery that belonged to Sharon Tate by the late actress's sister to wear for the movie. The post-credit scene in Thor Love and Thunder was directed completely remotely, with Taika Waititi in Los Angeles, Russell Crowe who played Zeus in Sydney, and Brett Goldstein. Before Sean Connery was cast as John Mason in The Rock, Arnold Schwarzenegger was being sought after for the role. When Schwarzenegger read the script, it was in very early drafts with lots of notes, and the actor ended up turning it down. Eventually, Schwarzenegger said he regrets turning down this role. Director Rian Johnson has stated that The Man Who Would Be King is one of his favourite movies of all time. This is what led him to cast Christopher Plummer as Harlan Thornberry in Knives Out. When Steven Spielberg was attached to direct the first Harry Potter movie, the Sixth Sense actor Haley Joel Osment was in line to play the lead role of Harry Potter. Before Brett Cullen was cast as Thomas Wayne in Joker, Alec Baldwin had been announced for the role but ended up dropping out a day before shooting due to other commitments. Before Darren Aronofsky made The Whale with Brendan Fraser in the lead role, James Corden revealed he was attached to star in the movie, with Tom Ford directing. Many fans thought that the colourful spacesuit seen in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 trailer was a reference to the game Among Us. However, director James Gunn said they are actually a reference to 2001 A Space Odyssey. The red and yellow suit that Daredevil wears in She-Hulk Attorney at Law is actually a tribute to Matt Murdock's father, the boxer Battling Jack Murdock. Red and yellow were his colours of the boxing gear he wore in the ring. Actor Jason Momoa revealed that working on Conan the Barbarian had been one of his best experiences he had working on any film to date. However, he said it got taken over and was turned into a big pile of shit. Actor Tobey Maguire was nearly replaced in Spider-Man 2 by Jake Gyllenhaal. Maguire allegedly wanted more money and stated he had a back injury and threatened to drop out. Once they said they would replace him, he agreed to star in the second film. The scene in Spider-Man 2 where Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man hurts his back is in the movie as a joke by the writers in the claims that Tobey Maguire had a bad back.
My back! Oh, my back!
Actress Olivia Cooke, who plays Queen Alicent Hightower, is only 14 months older than her co-star Tom Glyn Carney, who plays her son Aegon in House of the Dragon. The Academy Award-winning movie Parasite was edited on a version of Final Cut Pro 7, which hadn't received a software update since 2011, when Apple stopped supporting the software. Despite the limitations of this, the film's editor, Jimo Yang, still received an Oscar nomination for film editing. Liv Tyler filmed scenes as Arwen during the Battle of Helm's Deep in The Two Towers. Some behind-the-scenes footage shows the actress fighting alongside the other character. When actor David Prowse found out his voice wouldn't be used for Darth Vader, the actor would often ignore the script and speak gibberish when on set. James L. Jones went on to voice Vader. Prowse had allegedly been told the reason his voice wasn't going to be used because it was too expensive to fly him out for England and redub the lines. George Lucas apparently had never intended to use Prowse's voice, however. Actress Lena Headey revealed that she was extremely disappointed with her character Cersei's death in Game of Thrones. The actress had stated that you could go any way in that show, and that she was gutted with how her character was killed off. Concept art for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has now been released, featuring Daniel Craig as the Norse god Balder the Brave. Craig had initially been sought after for a role, but dropped out due to COVID restrictions whilst filming. Actor Charlie Cox auditioned for the role of Han Solo in Solo, a Star Wars movie. As he had been playing the blind character Daredevil for over a year, Cox would just look past the casting directors and not make eye contact during the audition. Cox revealed that this is what cost him the role. Dwayne Johnson has revealed for Henry Cavill to return to the role of Superman for Black Adam, it took 6 years of Johnson trying to convince Warner Brothers executives. Warner Brothers only agreed to Henry Cavill's return after the Warner-Discovery merger. Stanley Kubrick's final film, Eyes Wide Shut, is often credited as the film that has had the longest continuous shoot. The film had a continuous production which lasted 15 months, as Kubrick kept rewriting and reshooting scenes in order to make sure every frame was to his liking. Michael B. Jordan was forced to keep his cameo in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever a secret from his friends and family. Despite this, many fans had expected the actor to return in some form, and there had even been leaks on set saying that he would appear in the movie in some way. Director Rian Johnson had originally wanted Daniel Craig to use a different accent to the first film, and then again in the third movie, which is still in development. Ultimately, though, Johnson decided against this, and Craig keeps his southern accent as from the first movie. Head writer of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Jessica Gao, revealed that she wrote Season 1 without a second season in mind, as there was no guarantee of the series getting greenlit for a second season on Disney+. Writer and director James Gunn said he now regrets writing the invisible Drax scene into Avengers Infinity War. Both he and Dave Bautista constantly receive a barrage of jokes on a daily basis on social media, much to their annoyance. In the first draft of Hot Fuzz, Nicholas Angel had a love interest in a character called Victoria. The character ended up being cut, though a large portion of the character's dialogue stayed and was given to the character Danny Butterman instead, often without any changes. Brad Pitt has said his cameo in Deadpool 2 as Vanisher was the easiest thing he's ever done, and agreed to do the role if Ryan Reynolds bought him a coffee. The poster for Spider-Man Homecoming, featuring Spider-Man asleep, was actually taken while Tom Holland was having a nap on set in costume. For House of the Dragon, the Iron Throne was redesigned to have many more swords to make it more accurate to how it is described in the books. They used an extra 2,500 swords in order to achieve this. Hwang Dong-hyuk, creator of Squid Game on Netflix, has revealed he wants Oscar-winning actor Leonardo DiCaprio to have a role in the third season of the series. The show has been renewed for a second season so far and is set for a 2024 release date. The Hulu exclusive Predator spin-off movie, Prey, made history by being the first film to have a full dub in the Native American language Comanche alongside its English language release. Werewolf by Night is the directorial debut of Academy Award-winning composer Michael Giacchino. Giacchino has previously composed the scores to both Doctor Strange and the Spider-Man trilogy featuring Tom Holland. Actress Bella Ramsey said she had never played The Last of Us game before being cast as Ellie in the Last of Us HBO series, and was encouraged not to play the game and keep away from it by the creators, as they didn't want it to influence her performance. Ramsey did say she watched some gameplay on YouTube, though, to get a sense of it. Matt Damon was initially offered the role of Jake Sully in Avatar by director James Cameron. Cameron revealed he didn't need a Hollywood star for the lead role, but was willing to offer Damon 10% of the film's gross. Had Damon starred in the movie and it grossed the same, the actor would have been paid around $250 million. When reintroducing Kingpin to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Hawkeye, the producers considered doing a heavier set Kingpin, and Vincent D'Onofrio would have been using a fat suit in order to achieve this. However, they decided against this as it broke the continuity of his appearance in Daredevil. During The Matrix, there is a shot of the reflection in a doorknob. To hide the camera, they covered it in a coat and tie in order to match what Morpheus was wearing. In order to convince Millie Bobby Brown to cut her hair for the role of Eleven in Stranger Things, Matt and Ross Duffer showed the actress pictures of Charlize Theron in Mad Max Fury Road to show her how cool it would be to have short hair. Shout out to Bruna for suggesting I cover Stranger Things on this channel. In The Muppet Christmas Carol, during the song Thankful Heart, the characters can be seen walking past a shop called Micklewhite's. Micklewhite is actually the real surname of actor Michael Caine. Michael Caine is only his stage name. His real name is Morris Micklewhite. When filming The Rock on Alcatraz, Sean Connery didn't want to make the journey by boat twice a day to and from the island prison, so he insisted that he have a cabin built on the island where he could live during filming. The producers obliged this request. Director Chris Columbus had originally wanted to cast Robin Williams as Hagrid in the Harry Potter films, with Williams keen to play the role. However, J.K. Rowling had stated that she didn't want any American actors cast in key roles in the franchise. Actor Tim Roth is reprising his role as Abomination Emil Blonsky 14 years after his first appearance as the character from The Incredible Hulk in 2008. Roth said he was surprised to be asked back and had only done the film initially to star in something that his children could watch. Actor Richard Harris has revealed that he only ended up taking the role of Albus Dumbledore in Harry Potter because his granddaughter said she would never speak to him again if he didn't. Before Chris Columbus was hired to direct Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Steven Spielberg had been a strong contender to direct the movie, but turned it down. J.K. Rowling had also wanted Terry Gilliam to direct the film, however Warner Brothers weren't interested in him doing the movie. In Thor Love and Thunder, Russell Crowe played the role of Zeus, the Greek god. However, he was originally going to play a comedic version of Satan instead. There is concept art of Crowe as Satan for the movie. It is unknown why the role of Satan was cut, which led to Crowe playing Zeus instead. Director Taika Waititi has revealed there is a 4-hour cut of Thor Love and Thunder, but went on to say he isn't interested in a director's cut of his movie, stating they are not good and that directors need to be controlled sometimes. Natalie Portman revealed that whole characters and planets were cut from the movie, and Christian Bale has also already revealed he shot scenes with Peter Dinklage and Jeff Goldblum, but they ended up on the cutting room floor. Actress Charlotte Rampling, who plays the Reverend Mother in Dune, dubbed herself for the French version of the film as she is fluent in French. Johnny Depp was set to reprise his role as Gellert Grindelwald in The Secrets of Dumbledore before Warner Brothers asked him to step down. Depp reportedly did 1 day of filming before leaving production. The actor's contract, however, was pay or play, so Depp was paid his full salary despite only filming for a single day. Director James Gunn revealed to a fan on Twitter that the upcoming shorts I Am Groot on Disney Plus are just for fun and not necessarily canon to the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise or other Marvel Studios projects. In Episode 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Temeru Morrison has a cameo as a homeless clone trooper. Notably, this is the first time Morrison wore clone trooper armour, as in Revenge of the Sith, all clone troopers were completely computer generated. When filming the Rohirrim charge into the battle for The Return of the King, only extras who had read the novels were placed in the front row due to them understanding the importance of the moment in the story. Director of Gremlins Joe Dante has revealed that he thinks Grogu, aka Baby Yoda from The Mandalorian, is a rip-off of Gizmo from his movie. Dante has gone on to call Grogu a shameless copy of Gizmo. When Taika Waititi was trying to get Jojo Rabbit made, he wasn't sure who would play Hitler. Eventually, Searchlight Pictures said they would make the film as long as Waititi played Hitler in the movie. Before Jeremy Irons was cast as Rodolfo Gucci in Ridley Scott's House of Gucci, Robert De Niro had been announced for the role, but dropped out for unknown reasons. When the budget got slashed by 20th Century Fox for Deadpool, some scenes in the original script had to be cut to accommodate the smaller budget. Deadpool forgetting the big bag of guns in the taxi was one way of avoiding an expensive action sequence that would have been in the original movie. The Andor series on Disney Plus will not be using the Stagecraft volume set during the production of the series. The other Disney Plus Star Wars shows have all made use of this technology. Andor creator Tony Gilroy has said that we're old school and we didn't use stagecraft at all. The series was filmed on real sets and on locations. Before Jamie Bell was cast as Tintin, Thomas Brodie Sangster was originally set to play the titular role. However, he was forced to drop out of the movie. For Rogue One, director Gareth Edwards wanted actors and extras to grow 70s-style sideburns and mustaches in order to match the aesthetic of the original Star Wars movie from 1977. The events of Rogue One lead straight into Star Wars A New Hope. Before Ryan Reynolds was confirmed to voice Detective Pikachu, Hugh Jackman, Dwayne Johnson and Mark Wahlberg were considered for the role. There was also a petition to have Danny DeVito voice the character. Reportedly, animators did use audio from Danny DeVito's roles in order to assist with the casting process. Billy Crystal had turned down the role of voicing Buzz Lightyear, and after seeing the film, he said it was the biggest regret of his career. Later, when Crystal was asked to voice Mike in Monsters, Inc., he immediately said yes. In Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, Jared Harris was cast as the film's villain, Professor James Moriarty. However, actors Brad Pitt, Gary Oldman and Daniel Day-Lewis were considered for the role by the film's director, Guy Ritchie. The writer for She-Hulk Attorney at Law revealed that Kevin Feige insisted that Daredevil's new costume in the series be the iconic yellow and red, opposed to the colours we got in the Netflix Daredevil series. Charlie Cox has said when he got the call to reprise the role of Matt Murdock in Spider-Man No Way Home, he had initially thought someone was pranking him. The iconic mask of Michael Myers in Halloween was a Captain Kirk mask from Star Trek that was purchased for around $1. The crew removed the eyebrows and sideburns of the mask, and painted it white, coloured the hair brown, and made the eye slits bigger. The crew all thought the mask looked creepy and emotionless. Actor Christian Bale has revealed that working with green screens on the set of Thor: Love and Thunder was monotonous, and this was his first time he had ever done it. Before Amazon Studios gained the rights from the Tolkien estate to make the Lord of the Rings TV series, both HBO and Netflix had pitched what they would have done with a series. Amazon reportedly won the bid for less money than Netflix. Netflix had pitched a Marvel-style series following Gandalf or Aragorn, whereas HBO wanted to do a television remake of the trilogy. Before Jamie Foxx was cast as Django in Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained, the director had first wanted Will Smith to play the lead role. Smith reportedly turned down the role as he thought after reading the script that the main character was Dr. King Schultz. Paul Dano, who played the Riddler in The Batman, has revealed that in order to prevent leaks, the scripts were able to be locked and they contained tracking devices in case they were stolen. Each episode of House of the Dragon is now attracting an average of around 29 million viewers per episode. Episode 1 of House of the Dragon was also the biggest debut for any show on HBO to date. In episode 8 of House of the Dragon, the scene where Daemon picks up Viserys' crown was improvised during the rehearsal process. The crown fell off Paddy Considine's head and Matt Smith improvised, picking it up and helping him up to the throne. Jodie Foster revealed that she never had a proper conversation with actor Anthony Hopkins during the filming of The Silence of the Lambs. It wasn't until the last day of filming that the two actors had a proper conversation. Foster said she had been too scared to approach Hopkins during filming of the movie. Werewolf by Night used a black and white presentation in order to avoid a more mature rating. Because it was in black and white, blood and gore is allowed to be shown as it is less shocking than if it would have been shot in colour. Actor Andrew Garfield auditioned for the role of Prince Caspian in the Chronicles of Narnia movies, but lost the role when directors and producers said he wasn't handsome enough. Ben Barnes was cast in the role instead. Producer Kevin Feige has said that had they done a more accurate portrayal of Gore the God Butcher, then all of Christian Bale's acting would have been wasted. There were alternate designs considered, but the one we got allowed Bale to show more emotion on his face. Kevin Feige said they chose not to recast T'Challa in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever as he felt the world was still processing the loss of actor Chadwick Boseman. Feige also said that Boseman's loss was poured into the story of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever by the film's director Ryan Coogler. Actress Karen Gillan, who played Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy, needed to shave her head for the role. She did have a wig made out of her own hair that had been shaved off and wore it while she was not filming the movie. Gillan revealed she shaved her head at Comic-Con, pulling off the wig during a panel. During the filming of the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, the filmmakers weren't able to secure a permit to shoot a scene, so someone was hired to pretend to be the film's director and they were sent to jail for one night due to filming without a permit. Actor Hugh Laurie, who plays Dr. Gregory House in the TV series House, has said he felt guilty that he made more money playing a fake doctor than his father did for being a real doctor. Actor Oscar Isaac has revealed that he has been approached by sufferers of dissociative identity disorder to thank him for portraying the illness in Moon Knight. Isaac said these responses were very moving. The opening credits for Watchmen, that feature slow-motion key moments from the graphic novel, was originally not understood by Warner Brothers, and they asked director Zack Snyder to take it out of the script. However, Snyder ended up shooting the scenes anyway, and they remain in the final movie. For his role as Magneto in X-Men, Ian McKellen was worried about his physique for the role, as in the comics, the character is drawn with huge muscles. McKellen requested a false muscle suit in order to make himself look more like his comic counterpart. The two collisions that Schofield had with two soldiers were unplanned in 1917. George McKay just continued running. The rule on set was to keep acting no matter what until director Sam Mendes said cut. For 1917, director Sam Mendes was able to persuade many of the stars in the supporting cast to appear in small roles on the condition that they would not be asked to promote the film when it was released. Actor Tom Holland revealed he had 5 auditions for the role of Finn in Star Wars The Force Awakens. He said he messed up one audition as someone was making bleep bleep noises impersonating the robot BB-8, and he couldn't take it seriously and just kept laughing. Will Poulter had originally been cast as Pennywise in It before having to drop out due to scheduling conflicts. Producers then reportedly auditioned both Bill Skarsgård and Hugo Weaving for the role. Bill Skarsgård was ultimately cast in the role due to his ability to convey both the playfulness and the creepiness of the character. Actor James Earl Jones, who voiced Darth Vader in Star Wars, was uncredited for the first 2 movies, saying that he considered David Prowse, the actor in the suit, to be giving the more defining performance. Director Ridley Scott had an extensive background studying art before becoming a filmmaker. He had created very detailed storyboards for Alien in order to attempt to increase the film's budget. Once 20th Century Fox saw the storyboards that Scott had created, they increased the film's budget from around $4.2 million to $8 million, though Scott had originally hoped to get the budget to about $20 million. After the success of Elf, Will Ferrell was reportedly offered $29 million to return for the sequel. However, the actor turned this down in fear of the movie turning out bad. Ferrell didn't want to be associated with a bad sequel that could tarnish the reputation of the original film. Before Ian McKellen was cast as Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, Sean Connery was considered for the role. Connery turned down the role, saying he didn't understand the story. Despite this, producers were keen to have him play the role of Gandalf and even offered him a 15% deal of the 3 film's total box office to be in the movie. Had Connery taken this deal, it would have been the biggest pay of any actor ever, amounting to over $400 million. When the Obi-Wan Kenobi series was still a movie, a draft of the script featured Commander Cody watching out for Luke when Obi-Wan left Tatooine. The writer, Stuart Beattie, confirmed this and said Cody would have had his inhibitor chip removed and he felt guilty about the events of Order 66, thus helping Obi-Wan. For her role in Avatar: The Way of the Water, actress Kate Winslet was required to hold her breath underwater for several minutes during filming. Her record for the longest time holding her breath was 7 minutes and 14 seconds. Director Quentin Tarantino has revealed that if he does make Kill Bill Volume 3, he would want to cast Maya Hawke as the bride's daughter. Notably, Maya Hawke is the real-life daughter of Uma Thurman, who played the bride, aka Beatrix Kiddo, in Kill Bill. Actor Robert Downey Jr. was seen as a risk by the studio when making Iron Man, and he wasn't actually the highest paid actor on the film, despite having top billing and playing the titular character. Reportedly, Terrence Howard was paid more for his role as James Rhodes than Downey was for playing Tony Stark. Actor Taron Egerton revealed that he was approached to play the role of young Han Solo in the prequel Solo, a Star Wars movie. However, he turned it down, stating he just wasn't feeling it. Alden Ehrenreich went on to be cast in the role instead. Director James Cameron has revealed that his sequel Avatar: The Way of the Water is currently around 3 hours in length, but doesn't want to hear people moaning about it, considering many people stream hours of episodes of television back to back. Ethan Hawke has said one of the main reasons he took the role of Arthur Harrow in Moon Knight was because his daughter, Maya Hawke, told him to show Marvel what he has to offer, playing in their sandbox. Michael Caine returned to work with his longtime collaborator Christopher Nolan in a small role on the movie Tenet. Caine was not able to read the full screenplay and was only given the scene that featured his character. Caine revealed that he had no idea what the film was about or what genre it would be. When Ricky Gervais was asked if the UK office or the US office was better, he said the following: "I thought the British office was the best, but my accountant assures me it's the American."
Sorry, mate.
Oh, sorry, mate. Excuse me.
Wait.
For his role in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, actor Robert Patrick learned to fire a gun without blinking. As the T-1000 wouldn't blink when firing a gun, he made sure he didn't either. After finishing the movie Logan, Patrick Stewart said he would not play the role of Charles Xavier again, stating he thought it was the right time to leave the role. However, 5 years later, the actor has returned to reprise the role, playing an alternate version of the character in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. In Inception, the role of Saito was exclusively written for the actor Ken Watanabe. Christopher Nolan had worked with him on Batman Begins, though the actor didn't have much screen time. Nolan wanted to give the actor a more prominent role in another movie. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus currently has the biggest viewership debut on the streaming platform. There has been no official confirmation yet, but it has been suggested that this will lead to a second season, despite the show originally being announced as a limited series. Ewan McGregor has stated that he thinks there's more to tell and is happy to reprise the role again in the future. In The Office, there was a story arc pitched by the writers of having Jim cheat on Pam. However, actor John Krasinski put his foot down on this story going ahead. Krasinski said he would not shoot those scenes as he didn't believe his character would ever cheat on Pam. Director Taika Waititi revealed the reason that they changed up the look of Christian Bale's Gore the God Butcher in the movie from the comic counterpart was because he thought Gore in the comics looked too much like Lord Voldemort from Harry Potter. Oscar-winning actor Troy Kotsur helped develop the Tusken Raider sign language in both The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett. The actor also played a Tusken Raider in the show. Troy Kotsur is the second deaf actor to win an Academy Award. Before Ed Harris was cast in HBO's Westworld as the Man in Black, the producers of the series had approached actor Clint Eastwood for the role. However, he turned this part down. According to director Sam Raimi, the original runtime for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was around 2 hours and 40 minutes. Raimi revealed that test audiences found the film originally too confusing, so a great deal was cut out and new scenes were shot to simplify the story. In order to give Stranger Things an authentic 80s feel, the show's colorists added 80s style film grain to each frame of the show. This one's for you, Bruna. The girl who attempts to sell spice to Obi-Wan Kenobi in episode 2 of the Disney Plus series is Esther Rose McGregor, the real-life daughter of actor Ewan McGregor. Harrison Ford was allegedly the first choice to play the role of Oscar Schindler in Schindler's List. However, the actor ended up declining the role. Ford stated that people would not be able to look past his Indiana Jones persona and may end up ignoring the importance of the film. Had Sam Raimi made Spider-Man 4, the director wanted to reveal that Peter's landlord, Mr. Ditkovich, was actually a retired Kraven the Hunter. Ultimately, the film never got made. Did you know that before casting Ralph Fiennes as Lord Voldemort in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, the producers considered hiring Rowan Atkinson for the villainous role? Jonathan Banks's Mike Ehrmantraut was only written into the series of Breaking Bad when actor Bob Odenkirk couldn't film for the episode ABQ. Originally, it would have had Saul Goodman, who cleaned up the house and instructed Jesse what to do when the police arrived. Comic creator of The Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman, had originally stated that he thought Jon Hamm would be the perfect casting for Negan. Jon Hamm even stated that Kirkman should give him a call about the role, hinting that he was interested. Eventually, though, Jeffrey Dean Morgan was cast instead. Actor Benedict Cumberbatch actually grew out a goatee for his role in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. In the previous films he appeared in, he wore a fake goatee. Some fans have said that this was too noticeable and it limited his facial expressions. Cumberbatch said growing out a goatee this time was necessary. Did you know that in The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, despite John Rhys-Davies playing Gimli the Dwarf, he is actually the tallest actor out of the 9 cast members of the Fellowship. This allowed him to appear taller than the Hobbits, which is canonically accurate. However, stand-ins and doubles were used to make him appear smaller alongside the taller characters in the movie. Before taking on the role of Namor the Submariner in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, actor Tenoch Huerta didn't know how to swim. In order to get the role, he was asked if he could swim. He simply told them that he had never drowned. In the movie Bridesmaids, Melissa McCarthy's character Megan sits next to a flight marshal on the plane and chats him up, eventually hooking up with him. In the movie, the flight marshal is played by Ben Falcone, who is married to Melissa McCarthy in real life. Shout out to Emily for suggesting this content. Harrison Ford was asked if his appearance in Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, meant that Han Solo was a Force ghost. Ford, in typical manner, said, "I have no fucking idea what a Force ghost is, and I don't care." Director Taika Waititi revealed during an interview that he considered having Jesus Christ appear in Thor: Love and Thunder as one of the many gods. During the death scene of Bridget von Hammersmark in Inglourious Basterds, the hands strangling her do not belong to Christoph Waltz's character Hans Landa, but the film's director Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino said he didn't think strangling scenes in movies looked realistic unless it was actually done for real. Tarantino asked if Diane Kruger trusted him to actually strangle her to get the shot. Surprisingly, she agreed to it. Whilst shooting The Revenant, Leonardo DiCaprio said that Tom Hardy would be nominated for an Oscar for his role, to which Hardy didn't think he would, so they made a bet. Once Hardy was nominated, he got a tattoo saying "Leo knows all." In Blade Runner 2049, Jared Leto portrays the character Neander Wallace, who is blind. Leto opted to wear opaque contact lenses in order to portray the character. When wearing the lenses, it was impossible for Leto to see anything. When John Krasinski and Anson Mount filmed their scenes as Mr. Fantastic and Black Bolt, their costumes hadn't been designed and settled on yet. The costumes did not physically exist, and in the movie they are completely computer generated. Season 5 of The Crown was in production when Queen Elizabeth II passed away on the 8th of September 2022. The show's creator, Peter Morgan, has revealed that as a sign of respect, the show has halted production. When Christopher Nolan was starting to make the third movie in the Batman trilogy, Warner Brothers pushed the idea of using the villain the Riddler and having Leonardo DiCaprio play the role. Ultimately, Nolan ignored this and used the villain Bane and cast Tom Hardy. In order to use the Ghostbuster costumes, the Duffers needed to get permission from Ghostbusters director Ivan Reitman. Reitman was flattered that they wanted to use the costumes and gave them his blessing. Amazon's new TV series, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, has become the streaming service's most watched premiere of all time, attracting 25 million viewers in its first day of airing. Director Sam Raimi revealed that the reason John Krasinski was cast as Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was because of the fan demand for the actor to play the role. Before including Hercules in the end credits scene for Thor: Love and Thunder, director Taika Waititi was not aware that Hercules appeared in the Marvel comic books. CEO of Amazon Jeff Bezos has revealed that his son gave him some advice in regards to making the Lord of the Rings television series. Bezos' son is a huge Tolkien fan and simply told his father not to fuck it up. For the scene where Harry Potter approaches the hippogriff Buckbeak, director Alfonso Cuarón gave Daniel Radcliffe the direction to imagine Cameron Diaz in a G-string, leading to the shocked expression on his face. Author George R.R. Martin has revealed he became less involved with the HBO series Game of Thrones by season 5 and 6. He then revealed that the last 2 seasons he was pretty much out of the loop completely. In the final season of Better Call Saul, episode 11 is called Breaking Bad and features an appearance from both Bryan Cranston's Walter White and Aaron Paul's Jesse Pinkman. This was their first appearance in Better Call Saul. Notably, the first episode of Breaking Bad that featured Bob Odenkirk's Saul Goodman in Season 2 was titled Better Call Saul. Natalie Portman has revealed that wanting to impress her children was the main reason for why she returned to the role of Jane Foster in Thor: Love and Thunder. In an early draft for the scripts of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the post-credits scene featured someone watching the events from the movie in the Baxter Building, the iconic home of the hero team, the Fantastic Four. The scene would feature the arm of Mr. Fantastic scratching into frame. Ultimately, John Krasinski featured in the movie as Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, in a bigger role. With Better Call Saul having finished, the show's co-creator and creator of Breaking Bad, Vince Gilligan, has revealed he has no plans to return to the show's universe again and would rather work on something else. Actor Tim Roth has said he joked with Mark Ruffalo about replacing Edward Norton as the Incredible Hulk. When they met on the set of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Roth joked with Ruffalo saying that he had changed. In The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, the Orc leader Gothmog's appearance was based on now disgraced film producer Harvey Weinstein. Miramax, Harvey Weinstein's producing company, were involved in the Lord of the Rings production, and at the start had originally wanted Peter Jackson to make the trilogy as one movie. Peter Jackson allegedly hated working with Harvey Weinstein and made the Orc look like the producer as a dig at him. Did you know that for the Simpsons movie, the character Hank Scorpio from the episode You Only Move Twice was supposed to be the film's villain? This was changed as they felt he was too friendly with Homer in that episode and the character was too nice despite being a supervillain. Ultimately, Scorpio was replaced by the character Russ Cargill. Both characters, however, are voiced by Albert Brooks. A few well-known actors were considered for the role of Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings. First, director Peter Jackson tried to cast Daniel Day-Lewis, but he turned it down multiple times. Vin Diesel, Russell Crowe, and Nicolas Cage all auditioned for the role. Actor Stuart Townsend was cast and worked a couple of days before being let go due to his age being too close to the Hobbits, and they wanted an actor a bit older. Viggo Mortensen was then cast last minute and took the role as his son was a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings novels. Christian Bale revealed that he shot scenes in a Thor Love and Thunder with Peter Dinklage and Jeff Goldblum. However, both scenes were cut from the movie. Dinklage had previously appeared in Avengers Infinity War as Eitri the Dwarf, and Jeff Goldblum appeared in Thor Ragnarok as the Grand Master. Actor Miles Teller portrays Goose's son, Bradley Bradshaw, in Top Gun Maverick, who appeared as a child in the first movie. Despite this, actor Miles Teller hadn't been born at the time of the film's release in 1986. Before Obi-Wan Kenobi was adapted into a 6-episode series for Disney+, it had been originally planned as a film trilogy. It was after the failure of Solo: A Star Wars Story and the success of The Mandalorian that Lucasfilm decided to adapt it into a television series instead. Director Christopher Nolan's first big movie, Memento, nearly starred Brad Pitt in the lead role of Leonard. However, the actor had to drop out and was replaced by Guy Pearce. According to Kat Coiro, director of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Marvel had considered having Ed Norton reprise his role as Bruce Banner and the Hulk for a scene in the finale of the series. The line referencing X-Men in the finale of She-Hulk Attorney at Law was written on the day of filming, according to lead actress Tatiana Maslany.
When are we getting the X-Men?
I cannot tell you that.
Okay, back to She-Hulk.
Actor Michael Caine reveals he often gets criticised for starring in Jaws 4, which is said to be an awful movie. Caine says to people that he hasn't seen the movie, but he saw the house it bought his mum. Actor Barry Keoghan had originally auditioned for the role of the Riddler in The Batman. He sent in an audition tape of what he thought the character would be like. Eventually, he was contacted by the filmmakers and asked if he would play the Joker instead. Director James Gunn has stated that the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special is the first project in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to not have a villain. Quentin Tarantino has revealed that he originally wrote the role of Donnie Donowitz, aka the Bear Jew, for Adam Sandler in Inglourious Basterds. Sandler was not available for the part, so Quentin Tarantino ended up casting Eli Roth instead. For The Hateful Eight, Quentin Tarantino had originally met with actor Viggo Mortensen for the role of Jodie Domergue. Mortensen has said he wishes it worked out, but schedule-wise he wasn't able to commit to the rehearsals and the shooting. Ultimately, Channing Tatum was cast as Jodie instead. Quentin Tarantino originally was set to scrap his movie The Hateful Eight after the script got leaked, going on to say he may release the story as a novel down the line. Tarantino eventually did a script read in a theatre with some of the actors and rewrote the film's ending before deciding to eventually make the movie. Before Peter Jackson returned to directing duties on The Hobbit, director Guillermo del Toro was set to direct the movies and had already cast Ron Perlman as Beorn, Doug Jones as the Elven King Thranduil, and Brian Blessed as Thorin Oakenshield. Actress Lily Tomlin was originally considered to voice the character of Edna Mode in The Incredibles. However, the actress turned down the role after hearing Brad Bird's impression of what the character should sound like. Tomlin said Bird should voice the character instead. The writers for She-Hulk Attorney at Law have revealed that they had originally wanted to use Spider-Man and other characters related to Spider-Man in the series, but they were not allowed to by Sony. It was said the writers were disappointed because so many of them were fans of the character and thought he would fit into the show well. Director George Miller has revealed that the rapper Eminem was considered for the role of Max in Fury Road. However, Eminem didn't want to move to Australia, where they were going to film the movie at the time. Tom Hardy was ultimately cast in the lead role, and the film was shot in Namibia. Norman Reedus had originally auditioned for the role of Merle Dixon in The Walking Dead, who went on to be played by Michael Rooker. It is said that the creators were so impressed with Norman Reedus that they created the role of Daryl Dixon, Merle's younger brother, specifically for him. It has been reported that each episode of Amazon's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power series will have a budget of $50 million. This makes it the most expensive TV series ever made. Frank Darabont, the original showrunner for The Walking Dead, had originally wanted actor Thomas Jane to play the role of Rick Grimes in the series. Darabont even pitched the show to HBO with Jane attached to star. HBO passed on the project, and this led to Jane dropping out due to other commitments. This led to Andrew Lincoln being cast instead. The opening scene of Full Metal Jacket, where all the recruits have their heads shaved, was the last scene filmed. Stanley Kubrick made the actors shave their heads during the film, then they had to grow their hair back out to complete the rest of the movie. They were then called back to have it all shaved off again for the opening scene. This annoyed many of the actors. Ethan Hawke revealed that he was asked to star in Moon Knight by Oscar Isaac. The two actors are neighbours and bumped into each other at a coffee shop, where Isaac approached Hawke to star in the Marvel Disney Plus series. Christian Bale almost had to drop out of Thor: Love and Thunder due to scheduling conflicts. However, Bale stated that his children made him find a way to make it work out so he could star in the movie. While searching for child actors for Stranger Things, the Duffers ended up auditioning over 906 boys and 307 girls for the leading roles. Gaten Matarazzo, who plays Dustin, was the first of the boys to be cast in the show. The showrunners of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power series on Amazon have revealed that they already have planned out the 5 seasons of the show and know what the final shot of the series will be. Before Benedict Cumberbatch was cast as Doctor Strange, both Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke were considered for the role, amongst others. Both Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke would go on to star in Marvel Studios' Disney Plus series Moon Knight, playing Mark Spector and Arthur Harrow respectively. In No Country for Old Men, actor Javier Bardem plays a hitman called Anton Chigurh. An independent group of psychologists have said this was the most realistic depiction of a psychopath in film ever. Writer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Michael Waldron, considered using the character Namor because of his involvement with the Illuminati in the comic books. However, Marvel were saving Namor's debut for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. During the filming of the Hobbit trilogy, no height manipulation tricks were used between Bilbo and the dwarves, as the height of the actors matched the relative heights of the characters. Ian McKellen would have to sit on set alone to record his scenes, and was added in later to make Gandalf appear much taller than the dwarves and Bilbo. Cinematographer Roger Deakins was initially set to be the director of photography for Dune, having worked with Denis Villeneuve on the previous movie Blade Runner 2049. However, due to scheduling conflicts with his work on 1917, Deakins was unavailable and was replaced by Greg Fraser. Notably, Deakins went on to win the Academy Award for Best Cinematography for his work on 1917, and Fraser went to win the Academy Award for Best Cinematography for his work on Dune the following year. Christian Bale shaved his head for the role of Gore the God Butcher in Thor: Love and Thunder. However, when the actor was required to do reshoots much later, he was unable to shave his head again as he was working on other projects at the time. Bale wore a bald cap in order to do the reshoots. Before Sam Neill was cast as Dr. Alan Grant in Jurassic Park, director Steven Spielberg revealed that he had approached Harrison Ford for the role. For unknown reasons, the actor turned it down. Did you know that in Rogue One, the planet Scarif was named by a Starbucks barista who misheard Gareth Edwards' name as Scarif? Gareth Edwards was amused by this and decided to name the planet after what the Starbucks barista wrote on his cup. In Mad Max Fury Road, over 80% of the effects seen in the film are practical, including stunts, makeup and sets. CGI was used sparingly according to the film's director, George Miller. Special effects were mainly used to enhance the Namibian landscape, remove stunt rigging and Furiosa's arm. Actor Liam Neeson said he was up for returning to Star Wars but wanted to do a movie. He said that he is a bit of a snob when it comes to TV. He ultimately cameoed in the last episode of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and he did state he didn't want anyone else playing the role of Qui-Gon Jinn. When Zachary Levi auditioned for the part of Flynn Rider in Tangled, he actually used an English accent. However, when production started, he dropped the English accent and read it in his natural American accent. Actor Val Kilmer reprises his role as Iceman in Top Gun Maverick. However, due to health reasons, Kilmer has lost the ability to speak. Artificial intelligence software analysed audio from other movies that the actor starred in, and they were able to recreate the actor's voice for his role in this movie. The popularity of the miniseries Chernobyl actually led to around a 40% increase in tourism to both Chernobyl and the city of Pripyat during the following months of the show's premiere on HBO. In order to prepare for the reprisal of the role of Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, actor Hayden Christensen binge-watched the Clone Wars animated series.
You should have killed me when you had the chance.
Before being cast as Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch was approached to play the villain in Thor: The Dark World, the Dark Elf Malekith. Christopher Eccleston was ultimately cast in the role. Cumberbatch said he was waiting for something far more juicy. Director Christopher Nolan has said that the snow-based third-level dream was inspired from the set piece from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. This is Christopher Nolan's favourite James Bond film. The naked sketch that Jack does of Rose in Titanic was actually drawn by the film's director, James Cameron. Before Bryan Cranston was cast as Walter White in Breaking Bad, both John Cusack and Matthew Broderick were considered for the role. Initially, producers couldn't see past Bryan Cranston's role as Hal from Malcolm in the Middle, not believing he could do a role this serious. Director Sam Raimi revealed that the organic web shooters in his Spider-Man movies got a lot of backlash. Originally, Peter was going to have homemade web shooters like in the comics, though Raimi didn't think it was believable that a teenager could invent that technology. During the filming of Darkest Hour, Gary Oldman smoked over 400 cigars which were Romeo y Julita Cubans, which were the favourite of Winston Churchill. Production spent £30,000 on these cigars for the use in the movie. The excessive smoking led to nicotine poisoning, and Gary Oldman ended up in hospital. Hugh Jackman almost didn't get cast as Wolverine, according to the X-Men film writer David Hayter. The studio thought the actor was too nice, too tall, and too handsome. They didn't see him as the character Wolverine. Traditionally, in the comics, Wolverine is only 5 feet 3 inches tall. Jackman is 6 feet 2 inches tall. Did you know that for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino cast the two leads Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth as pairs? The film starred Leonardo DiCaprio as Rick Dalton and Brad Pitt as Cliff Booth. Tarantino revealed that had either actor not starred in the film, neither of them would. His second choice for Cliff Booth has revealed to be Tom Cruise. However, we don't know which actor would have played Rick Dalton opposite Tom Cruise's Cliff Booth. For his role in Castaway, actor Tom Hanks needed to transform his body to that which would resemble someone who had been stranded on a desert island for years. The first part of the movie was shot with Hanks at his normal weight. Filming was then paused for a year, and Hanks lost 50 pounds and grew out his hair and beard. Actress Elizabeth Olsen has stated that she doesn't consider Scarlet Witch the villain of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. She said, "I will never think of her as the baddie. She learns her lesson. She's just processing big emotions." During the filming of The Revenant, only natural light was used to shoot the scenes, and production only shot for around 1 hour a day in order to use the best light. One scene did use artificial lights as wind was causing the campfire to blow in unpredictable directions, thus ruining the lighting in the shot. Actresses Kristen Bell and Idina Menzel both auditioned for the role of Rapunzel in Tangled, but lost out to Mandy Moore. 3 years later, they both went on to star together in Frozen as Anna and Elsa. That one's for you, Jordan. In The Nice Guys, actor Robert Downey Jr. actually has an uncredited cameo in the movie. Downey plays the murdered porno producer Sid Shattuck, who is found by Ryan Gosling's Holland March when he falls off the edge of the balcony at the party. Henry Cavill revealed he got into the best shape of his life in order to play Geralt of Rivia in the Netflix series The Witcher. Cavill's muscles were so big they kept wearing down the leather on his costume and required replacements several times. The character of Cad Bane was first introduced in the Clone Wars animated series and was a homage to Lee Van Cleef's character Angel Eyes from The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. The character has made his live-action debut in the Book of Boba Fett, facing off in a duel with Timothy Olyphant's Cobb Vanth. The scene is another homage to the westerns that inspired some of the iconography of the Star Wars franchise. During his cameo in X-Men First Class, Hugh Jackman filmed 8 takes. The first 7 takes he said the scripted line "F off." For the 8th take, he improvised the line "Go F yourself." This was the take used in the final movie. Mads Mikkelsen revealed that he auditioned for the role of Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, in the 2005 version of Fantastic Four. However, he walked out of the audition after he was told to pretend to extend his arms like a rubber man. With the release of Minions: Rise of Gru, a TikTok trend called Gentle Minions has appeared over the social media platform. The trend has people showing up to the cinema in suits to watch the movie. Some cinemas have taken action by banning people wearing suits from attending the screenings. In The Incredibles, when Mr. Incredible says, "Fly home, buddy, I work alone," Bon Voyage is present. However, when Syndrome recalls the event later, Bon Voyage is not present, and this shows Syndrome's warped perspective of what happened, showing he took it far more personally than it was originally intended.
Fly home, buddy. I work alone. Fly home, buddy. I work alone.
Originally in Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Star Wars character Jar Jar Binks was going to appear. However, the producers were unable to get permission from Lucasfilm to use the character. Ultimately, they used Ugly Sonic instead, the original design of Sonic from the latest movies, which faced huge backlash from fans. For Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, George Lucas had originally intended to have Mace Windu killed off during Order 66 by a young Boba Fett, as vengeance for Mace killing Jango in Attack of the Clones. Lucas allegedly changed this because he didn't think a young teenage Boba Fett would be skilled enough to kill a Jedi Master. During the filming of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Bob Hoskins acted on his own and had to imagine the animated characters in the scenes with him. Hoskins revealed that after filming, he started to hallucinate cartoon characters.
Eddie Valiant!
Betty?
Long time no see!
Before being cast as DJ in The Last Jedi, Benicio del Toro had originally been cast as Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace. After George Lucas cut most of Maul's dialogue, del Toro dropped out of the movie. Darth Maul ended up being played by Ray Park and voiced by Peter Serafinowicz. The producers of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness have revealed that they scanned Elizabeth Olsen's eye and used it to create the giant Gargantos eye in order to foreshadow that it was under Scarlet Witch's control. In the movie Jack Reacher, the titular character is played by Tom Cruise, who stands at 5 foot 4 inches tall. In the novels by Lee Child, the character is described as 6 foot 5 inches tall and weighing 250 pounds. In X-Men, Magneto and Professor X are seen playing chess. However, neither Ian McKellen or Patrick Stewart knew how to play the game before filming the movie. Ultimately, a chess consultant was hired to make sure they looked like seasoned players when making moves. Director Brad Bird pitched his idea of the Iron Giant to the studio with the sentence, "What if a gun had a soul and didn't want to be a gun?" Did you know that for his role as Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs, actor Anthony Hopkins based his voice on the ship's computer HAL from Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey?
Dave, this conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Good morning.
James Gunn had initially wanted Dave Bautista to play the role of Peacemaker in The Suicide Squad. However, the actor dropped out in order to star in Army of the Dead, directed by Zack Snyder. John Cena went on to be cast as Peacemaker in the movie instead. For the movie Solo: A Star Wars Story, original Darth Maul voice actor Peter Serafinowicz actually came back to record the dialogue for the role of Darth Maul. Serafinowicz also revealed that him and director Ron Howard spoke more about the Darth Maul character than George Lucas had spoken to him for Star Wars Episode 1. The only note Lucas gave Serafinowicz for Star Wars Episode 1 was, "Just make him sound evil." Eventually, actor Sam Witwer, who voices Darth Maul in the Clone Wars series, recorded the lines, and these were used in the final film. They felt this matched the continuity of the Star Wars universe far better.
We will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
During the filming of Armageddon, actor Ben Affleck asked the film's director, Michael Bay, why was it easier to train oil drillers to become astronauts than to train astronauts to become oil drillers? Michael Bay simply told Affleck to shut the f*** up. In The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, the Witch King of Angmar originally had a different design, and the original Éowyn versus the Witch King fight was shot with this costume. If you've played the Lord of the Rings Return of the King video game, during the mission Pelennor Fields, the end of the mission shows Éowyn defeating the Witch King, which features the original design that ended up not being used in the movie. According to reports, John Krasinski was not the first choice to play Reed Richards in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. James Bond actor Daniel Craig was reportedly cast in the role, but dropped out of production as he didn't want to risk getting COVID and taking it back to his family. However, there are conflicting reports that he would have played the half-brother of Thor, Balder the Brave. Interestingly, Daniel Craig was considered for the role of Thor in the first movie back in 2011. Creator of the show Chernobyl, Craig Mazin, had originally intended for the actors to speak with Russian accents. However, he abandoned this idea during the audition process, as the accents were becoming a distraction for many of the actors. In order to show Spider-Man No Way Home in China, Marvel Studios and Sony were asked to remove the Statue of Liberty from the movie by the Chinese censors. The studios declined this, and the film ended up not being released in China. Until Top Gun Maverick, actor Tom Cruise had never starred in a movie that grossed over $1 billion at the global box office, despite being one of the biggest film stars in the world for the last 40 years. Director James Cameron allegedly pitched Aliens to the studio by writing the word alien on a whiteboard. He then added the S on the end, and then added 2 lines making the S a dollar symbol. Gary Oldman had initially been cast as the voice of General Grievous in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. However, Oldman was forced to drop out when it was revealed the movie was using actors not associated with the Screen Actors Guild. Before casting Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One in Doctor Strange, Marvel considered actors Morgan Freeman, Bill Nighy and Ken Watanabe for the role. Marvel producer Kevin Feige later revealed it was a mistake whitewashing the Ancient One when they cast Tilda Swinton. Before being cast as Saruman in The Lord of the Rings, actor Christopher Lee wanted to play the role of Gandalf. Lee had read the books every year since they were published. Lee was also the only member of the cast of The Lord of the Rings to meet the author J.R.R. Tolkien. Lee bumped into the author in a pub in Oxford. The inclusion of Michael Keaton's Vulture in the movie Morbius did not come from Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios. The inclusion was a decision solely made by Sony. This was revealed by the film's director, Daniel Espinosa. Did you know that Spider-Man No Way Home wasn't originally going to be a multiverse movie? The initial plan was to do Spider-Man vs. Kraven the Hunter. Tom Holland had said he would love to see Jason Momoa play the role of Kraven. However, Sony have now gone and done a spin-off of the Kraven character, with Aaron Taylor Johnson playing the role. This movie will be in the vein of Venom and Morbius. Sherlock creators Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss reportedly cast actor Benedict Cumberbatch after seeing him in the movie Atonement. They thought he looked like the perfect Sherlock Holmes. Marvel Studios and Disney Plus released the first 2 episodes of Miss Marvel in theatres in Pakistan as a way to celebrate the hero's roots. Initially, Harrison Ford had not been allowed to audition for a role in Star Wars, as director George Lucas didn't want to work with any actors he had previously collaborated with. Ford had worked with Lucas on his previous movie, American Graffiti. Ford was used for the auditions with other actors, and Lucas ultimately decided Ford was perfect for the role of Han Solo. Actress Michelle Yeoh had been interested in a role in Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill, but was turned down by the director. The actress has revealed that the reason Tarantino turned her down was because he didn't think anyone would believe Uma Thurman would be able to kick her ass. Actor Giancarlo Esposito has revealed he was first approached for the Marvel project Loki, but has said he was holding out for a bigger role. Esposito didn't reveal which role he was up for in Loki. However, Esposito has now revealed he has met with Marvel again, and ideally would like to play Charles Xavier, aka Professor X. Before Dave Filoni moved into live-action Star Wars after the animated Clone Wars series, he had been working on a new animated series centered around Mandalorians. Filoni ended up collaborating with director Jon Favreau, and this led to the live-action Star Wars series The Mandalorian. The Netflix movie Blonde, which stars Ana de Armas as Marilyn Monroe, debuted at the Venice Film Festival and received a 14-minute standing ovation, which is the longest one of this year's film festival. During the filming of Star Wars, actor Peter Cushing found the boots of his character Grand Moff Tarkin too uncomfortable as they were too small to fit him. In all shots where his feet were not visible, Cushing wore his slippers instead. According to Peter Jackson, director of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit trilogies, he was asked by Amazon to be involved with the upcoming Rings of Power project. He had asked to read the scripts and was told he would be sent them when the drafts were finished. Jackson said after that conversation he was ghosted by Amazon. For the oil rig scene in Man of Steel, Henry Cavill was asked to shave his chest. Cavill refused and cited the Death of Superman comic from 1992 where the character had chest hair. Kate Bush's song Running Up That Hill has managed to get to number 1 on the iTunes chart after it was featured in the latest season of Stranger Things. The song was first released in 1985. In Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, Stephen Fry plays Sherlock's older brother, Mycroft. Fry is a self-proclaimed Sherlock Holmes fan and has done the audiobooks for the original books in the series by Arthur Conan Doyle. Fry also appeared on Celebrity Mastermind, in which his expert subject was Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes series. When Zack Snyder came back to complete his version of Justice League, he wanted to use the character Martian Manhunter in the final film. Warner Brother executives didn't want this, so Snyder allegedly threatened to delete the rest of the footage of the Snyder Cut if he wasn't allowed to use the character.